A minister who thinks the Defence Force is just a job for life.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, for the opportunity to speak on this part of the estimates debate on the New Zealand Defence Force. Of course, I'd like to begin by adding my condolences to the families of the two soldiers that lost their lives in Afghanistan, and to wish the wounded, the 6 wounded, best wishes from this House for a very speedy recovery. And their sacrifice outlines why our Defence Force is so vital to help protect New Zealand people and territory, to conduct and lead missions with key allies, particularly in the South Pacific, and to enable New Zealand to become a stronger partner in regional and international security. And I want to commend the Minister, Jonathan Coleman, because he has given the Defence Force a direction and a long-term strategy, something it desperately needed after 9 years without any government leadership. The government's vision is for a joint amphibious task force capable of sustained, independent deployment and also capable of functioning as a credible part of a wider coalition. All capability decisions are being made with this vision in mind. Decisions are being made with regard to how one capability or a piece of equipment works with another, and how this fits within the vision for defence. In short, Mr. Chair, National has a plan for defence, and it's led by our Minister. In contrast, the man interjecting across the House cut valuable equipment from the service without any plan on how to sell it, and he gave 210 people the sack as they cut them. Labor bought expensive equipment without any plan on how to move or deploy it. Who also showed so little respect for defence that they made Mark Burton the Minister. And I won't forget that in 2005, when I first stood for Parliament, the announcement of Mr Goff and Helen Clark to announce a week before the election that they had sold the Skyhawks for an amount of $155 million. Yes, they did that the week before the election in 2005, because I got straight on the phone to Don Brash and said, Don, these guys are telling porkies. And that $155 million sale turned into a $37 million cost, because they were unsold and 210 people lost their jobs on the back of that incompetence, Mr Goff. These are tight financial times, and we have maintained a Defence Force spending, and we are looking to redistribute savings to fund the changes needed to make a 21st century effective Defence Force. New Zealand Defence Force has achieved $143 million of annual reoccurring efficiencies in the last 12 months. These have been reinvested in military capability. New Zealand Defence Force will deliver $350 to $400 million of efficiencies back into the Defence Force by 2014-2015. The New Zealand Defence Force has saved $9.7 million through tougher negotiation with contractors and consultants, a further $12.2 million through consolidation of some training functions such as driver training, and they saved another $7.9 million from efficiencies in health services. The government went looking for efficiencies, and it's found them, because we don't want to waste taxpayer money. We actually have to look, those of us who are elected MPs, into constituents' eyes and saying, we're doing the job well, and we're spending your money sensibly and wisely. And as a result of those savings, we're bringing in new capabilities. We'll be replacing the medium and heavy vehicle fleet to ensure that we can take our trucks overseas, and drivers will be protected from IEDs. That's an improvement that Labor never got around to doing. And we're bringing in a littoral warfare support group. 2 new vessels are currently being built in Northland, vessels that can be deployed from a ship or a Hercules to protect our larger vehicles anywhere in the world. But whenever a saving is identified, it is condemned by the opposition. The 18.6, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chair.
John Hayes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The 18.6 million in annual recurring savings, civilianisation has been condemned. The 9.3 million in recurring savings from the Reserve Force reform, condemned. Even the 630,000 in annual savings from the band reduction was condemned. Mr. Chair, so would the opposition have borrowed that extra 142 million per annum? Would they increase that to 350 or 400 million per annum, or would they cut capability? Would they not replace the trucks? Would they not have a literal welfare support force? Not replace the Sea Sprites? Would they not have upgraded the artillery? They have identified one saving in this House. Mr. Goff wants to cut the defensive weapon upgrade for the frigates, a one-off capital saving that he has called skyrockets for the boys. Mr. Chair, a cut that would mean deploying vessels to some of the most hostile environments in the world without the ability to defend themselves from anti-shipping missiles. That is what the Defence Force, the New Zealand public knows, is the Labour Party approach to defence. Borrow and spend. Don't look at savings or long-term viability, and instead pin the tail on the donkey with cutting capability. That's an opposition that puts bans over military capabilities. This is a government that needs a reform, recognises the need for reform, develops a plan and leads to it. I congratulate the Minister for his excellence in this regard. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Honourable Phil Goff.
Mr. Chairman.